if I'm trying to make a point to the audience, I'm gonna look.
You're gonna look at the camera.
That camera dead set in the face hole.
Yeah, I understand.
We are live right now.
Oh.
And I'm gonna hit that timer button, and when that thing counts down to 0,
that's when I start.
Then I'll hit the transition thing, and then everyone will see us, and then the Leafs Fancast will officially be back after a 4-year hiatus. I'm excited.
Wow.
Isn't it great?
4 years. Is that how long it's actually been?
The year we did the Fancast was Austin Matthew and all's rookie season.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, man.
I can't even remember what that was like. That 4-goal game? That was magical in a sense.
That season was, honestly, nothing has changed in 4 years because that season was as up and down as anything else has been.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And do you remember taking Washington to overtime in 5
out of 6 games?
Playoff games? Oh.
You're damn right I do.
And then losing to Boston in Game 7 every year after.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
You know what the best part about this Canadian division is going to be?
What's the best part going to be?
There's no Boston.
That's a good
Which
thing.
sucks, because this is the weakest Boston's ever been since I've been a Leafs fan. This is probably the weakest I've ever seen them.
They may not even make the playoffs.
I wouldn't say that. They're probably a fourth.
Look at their
fourth or
division.
third.
Only 4 teams get out. Every team right now in the Canadian division, except for maybe Ottawa, has playoff expectations.
Yeah.
So two someones, maybe even 3 someones in this division are going to be disappointed.
I don't know. Is Ottawa really going to be that disappointed? Or are you
No,
talking
not
about
Ottawa,
Metro
but I'm
right
saying,
now?
like, if Winnipeg doesn't make the playoffs for whatever reason, or Vancouver, like, they're going to be choked. Montreal,
weird.
like...
Yeah, it's definitely weird, because this is, like, the season where you just think that most of the Canadian teams, like 6 out of the 7 teams could possibly make the playoffs.
Exactly.
Poggers. Wow. Bringing in Hearthstone references already, Donato.
Are you good at Hearthstone?
I'm pretty fantastic. I lie, actually.
Sorry,
I'm
you're pretty
bad.
what?
Fantastic. Thank you
Excellent.
for correcting me already.
Yeah.
It
has
no,
begun.
I've always been bad at Hearthstone. Like I put money into it so I could get all the cards and
I
build
used
the
to.
decks that I want, but never been that good. That's a totally different thing, though, right?
There's some nerves here, Paul. I'm gonna be honest.
You're nervous, eh?
Yeah?
That's okay. It's everybody's first time eventually, Danny. It's okay.
What do you mean everybody's first time eventually?
Like, it's your first time live streaming with me on peak performance, Danny.
Are you saying that this is your peak performance?
Absolutely not. This is maybe 75%. We'll see how it goes. I might ramp it up towards the end.
I see.
I'll try. I'll try my best, okay?
I expect nothing but perfection on the first
I'm
try.
gonna flub so many words
Don't
and
do that.
stats. You know what sucks? We don't have a stat guy. We have to do it all ourselves today.
Yeah, but we also have computers in front of us that are reliable, unlike in the old Fancast days.
You remember not getting any what was it? Any
Internet?
internet over there. Yeah, it was just terrible.
What's that word again? Internet, Paul. The word
Yes,
you're looking for is
You know
internet.
what? It's become such a... The internet's just in your daily life, so you don't even remember it's a thing.
Oh, how long
You're
do
just
you
on...
okay.
I on the computer. I'm not even...
I gotta fill up my coffee.
Sure.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
Oh, it's okay, buddy.
We have to
You'll
talk
get
about
through
the
it.
Leafs.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Oh, my goodness. Matthews had 47 goals last year.
He had a year.
Wow. Dang. We didn't make the playoffs. Oh, man. How's this happen? Oh, how does this happen?
Alrighty. Oh. PCAV 94. If I could only figure out who that is. Oh, it's gotta
It'd be
be
a
Paul
tough-
Cavaretta, right? Who else could it be?
Yeah, not like anybody in my family's named with a P.
No, definitely not.
What's going on, Peter?
Peter, we are very happy to have you. Thank you. It feels very good to be back. And thank you, all 5 of you, 6 of you now who are watching what will be...
I've got 8 on my stream.
Really? Well, mine takes a sec to update. That's good.
Nice.
Oh my god. Paul, I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
I'm a little nervous.
It's okay. Listen, how much...
Oh,
Sorry,
Nikki is in the
how-
room. Beautiful. Nick?
How much more nervous can you be than the Leafs roster this season? Think about that. Just remember, it can always get worse. You could be a player when Mike Babcock was your coach. Like, that's
why?
insane.
Why? Why are you starting this right now?
It's true.
Why are you starting this whole show?
Because we're about to get into it, Danny.
But there's
That's
getting... You're making me really regret not having any booze on hand for this.
You got 30 seconds.
Thanks, man, because I can't read. God. Why am I on a show with you?
Because I'm so good looking.
10 seconds. Are you ready to do this?
I have it at 19, 18, 17.
Yeah, that's because there's a lag. 5, 4,
4,
3, 2. Paul, do the thing!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the Leafs Fancast. Now, live streaming on Twitch.
Twitch?
To my left is my co-host, Danny Magder.
You couldn't hear it, but I just air horned.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, I myself am your other co-host, Paul, the Caveman Cavaretta.
Air horn!
Let's give a nice round of applause. It's good to be back, boys. Very nice to see everybody. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And joining us in the relaunch.
Yeah, this is a big deal. This is our world debut for the second time.
The second time.
And if you don't know, quick little recap. What are we all doing here? What is the Leafs Fancast? Once upon a time, Paul the Caveman Cavaretta, you and I...
Had a dream.
We had a dream of being successful radio people that would make successful radio dollars. We realized very quickly that would never happen on account of radio and dollars don't go well together.
Yeah, no,
But we were
that's pretty
naive,
true.
and for the Leafs 2016-2017 season, which you may remember as the rookie year of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander, Connor Brown, Zach Hyman, and others, we
You got all of them.
had
The and
a
others was the best part.
podcast.
Yes, we made a very lovely podcast, didn't we, Danny?
We did. I think
Filled
you
with
and I,
truculence and hope.
truculence, Dan Cherry, Mike Babcock impressions. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And 4 years
Leafs
later,
math.
Leafs math. 4 years later, we have brought it back. And so every Monday at about 6 p.m.-ish, we're going to hang out here. We're going to talk about all of the Leafs headlines from the past week and set up the next week of Maple Leafs hockey. On some nights, there will be a hockey game. So we'll set up that game, and then we'll stay on the line, and we'll watch the game. We won't stream the game. We don't have the rights, but we'll have a
You'll
watch
get
party.
my
It'll be a good time.
my lovely takes on how terrible we're doing, or wonderful, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Expectations is next weekend, right? Or next week, right?
I have a feeling as Leafs fans, expectations will factor into it almost every show.
Yeah.
Man, how do you feel being back in the chair? Like, it's been
a nice
while.
chair. It's a more comfortable chair this time. You know, got my
We've
nice
upgraded.
racing chair from home.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling good. Got my Leaf sweater on. Well, not my real one, but you know. Got my Leaf sweater behind me. So we all know what's behind us. And we're looking towards the future, guys.
We are. It's good. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be live. No nerves. What about you, Danny? How you feeling?
There's nerves. There's definitely nerves. Man, I don't.
No stress.
It's just, well,
no
come
stress.
on, man. Look, okay. First of all,
I live a very stress-free life.
The last 3 months of 2020 were very. My head was all over the place as it normally is. I'm trying to figure out 5 different shows and content and trivia and a whole bunch of crap. And the thing that keeps me going normally between September and December is the fact that I've just gotten back into Leafs hockey. And I can be paying attention to that. It's another constant in an otherwise chaotic world. But we haven't had that. Except in 10 days, it's all coming back.
Is that a good thing, Danny? Or is that or are we not ready? Are we not prepared? Did the Leafs prepare themselves? I don't know.
Hey, not only do I think it's a great thing, I think it is a fantastic thing. All right? So, with that in mind, we can't start talking about the future and the season in front of us if we don't open up this show taking a look at the past. Just like your Phil Kessel jersey, this is behind us. But I think it's important where we start off to actually take a look at what the 2019-2020 season was. Because we, like every year, had some pretty considerable expectations going in. And now we've got to remind ourselves where we're at. Because forget the disappointing playoffs. Play-in. As you were so quick to point out yesterday, we didn't actually make the playoffs in 1920.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I just kind of want to remember where this season was for us. It was a season marred by absolute inconsistency. Mitch Marner got to camp after his contract negotiation. He got what a lot of people said was overpaid. John Tavares didn't show up at all for the first time.
Tyson Barrie was a thing.
Tyson Barrie failed to live up to any single expectation, any stretch.
We lost our heart and soul, and I would argue that Nazem Kadri was our heart and soul.
He was certainly our fists for that
our
bit.
Fists
anyway.
And soul?
Yeah, so look, it was a lineup that was changing, that was getting used to change. The season did not go particularly well. Every time we were playing positively, it seemed we couldn't hold it. And in November, Mike Babcock gets fired.
Oof.
Where were you? Because if anybody remembers the show,
where were you?
I'm a Mike Babcock. Believer's not even the right word. I said when he got fired, I am a better man today because Mike Babcock was the coach of the Maple Leafs for a while. Everything he preached about work ethic, about compete, about being a good pro and a good person, that actually mattered a lot to me. So I was really disappointed when he left.
I can say I completely understand why he had to leave, and I kind of agreed with it at the time. I don't know what Sheldon Keefe is just yet as far as coaching goes. Clearly, it wasn't that smooth of a transition at the end of in the middle of last season. However, I was a Babcock fan as well. I did enjoy the idea of taking offensively minded players and making them compete for the puck and making them like responsible on the back end. Mike Babcock did a wonderful job in trying to teach these kids how to play hockey the right way. And you know what happened, Danny? You know what happened?
What happened?
Money happened. Ego came involved.
Are you trying to
They
tell
decided
me
they decided they were more valuable to the team than Mike Babcock. All the kids didn't listen to him, and they lost him. He lost them.
Well,
every single one of them.
Like, I don't. To me, you can't just like. you can't bark and be stern at people that are that age, like 19, 20, 21-year-old dudes. Like, there's got to be some give and take. And maybe Mike Babcock was just too much stick and not enough carrot. Sheldon Keefe is the carrot here now, the proverbial carrot. But I think it's nice that we can at least agree on one thing. And this is the very first thing that we've talked about, Paul, and we're actually agreeing on it, that Mike Babcock will be missed by both of us still.
Yeah, for sure. He will be missed. And, you know, when you get paid $10 million to be an athlete, you should do your job and be an athlete and put your ego behind it. But It is what it is.
1-0 Canada.
Look at
is this game on right now?
Look at that. That's wonderful. Instant clear play. Thank you very much for the updates.
Yeah, we need that, actually. We're going to get the World Junior updates going on in the chat while we're doing this. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Ugh.
It's going to happen every time. Okay, so the year was a yo-yo. We end up playing well in the back half. Everything looks like it's kind of figured out. The injuries that are plaguing the team, by the way, Morgan Riley not healthy to start the year, plays through stuff. He's injured in the back half. Jake Muzzin's down for a bit. The whole team is just falling apart. And despite all of that, we managed to, I was going to say limp into the playoffs, but we get into the play-in round on home ice, nonetheless. And much like the Edmonton Oilers, we don't make it out of the play-in round. Now,
just imagine a team that was called Stanley Cup contenders who played in a bubble on home turf where everybody else had to go away from their homes and their families. These guys were
still
at
away
home.
From their family. They were not at home. They were still in the hotel. Like, chill.
But theoretically, you're pretty close compared to guys from Tampa.
Okay.
But either way, you still don't manage to pull it off against the Blue Jackets.
It was a weird series, and I don't think we're going to focus too much on it. Like, as mad as I was, and as much as I might have said fire Mitch Marner, what I actually feel like is it was a weird... It was a bubble. Nothing matters. Like, great that Tampa got their cup. It's not normal. Like, the situation and the circumstances aren't normal. So I'm not writing the Leafs off.
No, you're right, Denny. It was not normal.
Columbus.
It was harder. It was much harder to play in that bubble. And the Leafs proved that they didn't have the heart. And that, more than anything, scares me. It scares me, Danny. This year, I am not excited for it after what they pulled last year.
You're already full of crap. You're already starting off this whole thing full of crap. Here's the grand reveal. Here's the grand reveal about Paul the Caveman Cavaretta. If you don't know, Paul the Caveman Cavaretta is a big Leaf fan, but he's apparently an even bigger Columbus Blue Jackets fan. And so while we're actually sitting here getting upset about that series loss, Paul was sitting there grinning like an idiot.
Oh, it was. Hey, I was happy with it. I'm not. I didn't lose either way. You know, I do bleed blue and white and red, which makes me a bit American. Not really, but either way, I digress. I wasn't too disappointed with the results. I was disappointed in the Leafs for sure, but you know how can you be mad when Jonas Korpisalo and Elvis Merzlikins absolutely steal it from the Toronto Maple Leafs kids? When they combined make less money than William Nylander, and yet they steal the show.
Was that your first time using the word digress? Because
no.
it took you a second, like you were surprised to hear it come out of your own mouth.
I've said it before. I'm trying to expand my vocabulary and stop swearing.
Nice.
It's hard. It's been difficult.
Just instead, next time you want to curse, just yell digress and see if that works. It won't.
Slip it in.
The Columbus series, because that's what we remember. But doesn't it feel like things have kind of shifted, where we are like a different team now based on the offseason? We'll jump to this in a sec when we break down exactly what we've done in the offseason so far. But there's just something about how the Leafs ended their play-in run and the disappointment and the coming out of COVID and having it even being more disappointing because they were in a bubble and we waited months for hockey to come back. 6 months later, there it is, and then it falls apart, whatever. This does actually seem like a fresh start, finally, in a lot of ways.
Does it?
I
thought the
so.
fresh start finally was when we got the kids. When we got this guy off the books.
This guy? Oh, Phil the Thrill? I think. Well,
Yeah.
I got bad news for you. He's still on the books.
I know.
For another
It's disappointing.
year.
I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm tired of all of this. It's a new season. Put everything behind us. Why don't we look at what happened last season? You know, what were our expectations last season, Danny? We got rid of our troublemaker Nazem Kadri, didn't we? We can't lose in the playoffs if he doesn't get a penalty or get suspended again, right?
Okay. So
we got a really nice defenseman, Danny. Our kids were looking to shine. They finally got paid. Now they're going to prove it, right? That was the expectation last year, was it not? What were your expectations? What did you have going into last year? Because the season is very similar. It's all the same. I'm living a fever dream here with the Leafs.
Understanding that last year was a disappointment, and there's no other way to put it, like you were so keen on saying, we didn't actually make the playoffs. So I obviously expected them to go further. You expected Tyson Barrie was going to play well. You expected that Mitch Marner was going to continue to trend forward as opposed to take a step back year. You thought you were going to get more consistency out of John Tavares. In fact, the only person who really played up to expectations, I'll say two people, were Austin Matthews and William Nylander exceeded expectations. You can probably also give a nod to Zach Hyman for just showing up and doing the same thing that he does every day.
Yeah.
Alex Kerfoot, we didn't know what we had in Kerfoot. He looked lost. So
he is lost.
All in all, our expectations were that things were going to pan out with a lot of question marks, and they didn't pan out.
Danny, our expectations for last season was to win a round, and we didn't make the playoffs. I'm sorry, the bubble, the play-in, that's not the playoffs.
Right.
That's a play-in.
Yeah, I know. You're not wrong.
What happened to the Stanley Cup contender of a team that we were supposed to have?
So
that finished eighth in projected points.
Do you want me to answer the question? Do you want me to answer the question?
COVID doesn't count, not an excuse.
Because it's not COVID. But do you want me to answer the question?
We didn't meet expectations.
You're right. We didn't. Things didn't go well last year. There's no other way to phrase that. Here are some variables that we probably didn't take into account that now we can kind of understand. So Mitch Marner signs a big contract, and it's really rare that when you sign a big contract and start, like, literally life-changing money, like, you just start getting dumped on in 20s. It's literally raining every day at Mitch Marner's house. So that's a bit of a lifestyle adjustment. You forget, he's a kid. So he's
my age. He's not that much of a kid. Hey, continue.
Right? Paul, if I just handed you a couple $1 million, that would probably change up your day-to-day. So,
100%.
Right. So my point is, his routine got disrupted, and it translated onto the ice. John Tavares had a kid. His routine got disrupted, and it translated on the ice. Okay, when your kid doesn't sleep through the night, doesn't matter how good of a pro you are, that's going to affect you. So we've got that. Then injuries. To Morgan Riley, to Jake Muzzin, Darren Tavares was out for a bit. You know what I mean? So
Marner
I'm not saying that individually these things are excuses. You know, you don't want to look at each thing and say, well, that was the reason. But collectively, there was a bunch of stuff that happened that impacted the team. The Nazem Kadri trade, we can all agree, was a bust. But they were trying to shake things up culturally, and it remains to be seen whether or not that worked. And everybody you signed on the blue line, the odds that none of them would pan out, pretty low. So it was a crappy year. It happens. But I think it's pretty safe to say those same problems are not going to be problems this time around.
No, you're right. Instead of our new defenseman Tyson Barrie disappointing us. It's going to be our first line left winger, 40-year-old ancient Joe Thornton, who's going to be disappointing us.
We'll get to
We'll
that.
get into that. We get into that later. That's a whole
that.
different. We can get into that later. That's totally a different conversation. However, what went wrong? How did this happen? Like, I understand you're saying that Marner got injured, lifestyle change. Tavares had a kid, lifestyle change, injury. But I don't buy it.
What do you not buy?
That that was just injuries and piled up and all this frustration.
Hold up. Keegan went to high school with Nazem Kadri?
Wow.
That's
nice.
cool, man. That's cool. Nazem Kadri is like,
Nifty mittens.
There's audio recorded of me saying that he should have been the Leafs captain, and to a point, I still stand by that. To a point.
He was third on my list, but yeah, no, he was
Anyway.
pretty solid.
So I don't know what to tell you, and I speak to you, Paul. If you are the representative right now for the entire section of the Leafs fan base that thinks you have to put the blame squarely somewhere, like, I don't know how to tell you that that's not how this works. This is a big operation with a lot of moving parts.
I get that.
Okay, so?
It's frustrating to me, you know? Frustrating that we had the highest paid coach in the NHL, the most successful coach in the NHL at the time, and it doesn't work.
Okay, look, the frustration is, you're allowed to have the frustration. You're more than allowed to be frustrated. That's fair,
like a chill guy.
Right?
Yeah.
However, let's try and be real, I think, is what's more important. Like, you can be frustrated, but take that frustration and let's put it into the new season. Here's, in the eyes of the front office, Kyle King throwing a sub our way. Thank you very much. Just for you, Kyle King, because I know you love air horns. That's for you. Thank you very much, Kyle King. Okay. Paul, in the eyes of the Leafs front office, they had to make a couple of tweaks. There is a ton of additions that they have made. So, real quick, I just want to fire up my list of every transaction that the Leafs have made in this offseason. Are you ready for this? This is how drastic the changes had to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's do it.
So we'll start in August. So first of all, Mikko Lehtinen is coming over from the KHL.
Change your screen if you want to show what the things were.
Oh, well. Thanks. Okay. No 2-0 Canada? Hell yeah. Thanks, man.
Oh, can't thank you, that tree guy.
I think that's
Ezra. I hope it's a nice tree.
All right. So, yeah,
go ahead.
Mikko Lehtinen is coming over to play defense from the KHL. Jason Spezza is back. Clearly was not part of the problem. They let Miro Aaltonen walk from the system. Tyson Barrie's gone. Cody Cece's gone. David Clarkson is no longer on the books. Pour one out. UFA status was also given to Kyle Clifford, Tyler Gaudette, Kevin Gravel, Nate Horton's off the books, and a bunch of other guys in the system. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bracco, not tendered a qualifying offer. Frederick Gauthier is gone. Evan Rodriguez is gone, who they got in the trade for Jake Muzzin.
Yeah.
Or Jack Campbell. They bring in Wayne Simmons. They bring in TJ Brody. Joey Anderson. They get rid of Andreas Janssen and Kasperi Kapanen. Jimmy Vesey is now on this team to play the wing. Zack Pagosian on the blue line. And we can go on and on and on. Not including, of course, Jumbo Joe. So, there's a lot. There's a lot of changes that were made here. And we're trying to figure out if this is really going to be enough. So, where do you want to start at all these moves here that have been made? Like,
Let's talk about subtractions before we go to additions.
Yeah, that's probably
what was necessary, what was unnecessary. Right?
So,
like what needed to happen? What absolutely needed to happen this year in your mind?
So going in, I wasn't being extremely vocal saying, "Hey, let's get rid of Janssen and Kapanen." That if it made sense, obviously upgrading the D-line had to be a priority, and so okay, they finally get their man TJ Brody. Do you think they hang on to Janssen and Kapanen if it's a regular cap situation? Like, if the cap wasn't staying at the same hit because of COVID?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Do you still think there's a need to get rid of one of those two guys? Was it a culture fit for you?
Okay.
Because let me ask it this way.
Go ahead.
Is Kapanen or Janssen directly responsible, or should they shoulder more of the blame for that matchup against Columbus going south? And I guess more Kapanen than Janssen, because Janssen was hurt.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at that playoffs. Just quickly, I'm going to bring it up. In 5 games, Kapanen, 2 points. Janssen was out, I believe, right?
Janssen got in game 5, I think.
In game
it was
5.
weird. I feel like
game.
he shouldn't have been there either.
Yeah,
I feel like they
for
shoehorned
sure.
him in there because he was
Clearly,
back.
Clearly, you can't blame Janssen. 100%. What can you do there? He was injured. He comes back in the last game for whatever reason. Kapanen, you can't. I mean, what were you expecting from him? He's Kasperi Kapanen. He's not Austin Matthews and William Nylander. He's not making $10 million. I can't blame them for putting up points that they would normally have put up. Like, you can't expect them to win you that series. Those two, right?
Do you think there was this unfair expectation on Kasperi Kapanen to be a little bit more physical than he's capable of being? I always had him in my head as being this super fast, like, I can get in there and disrupt the other team. They can't catch me. I'll beat him in on the forecheck. And he never really delivered like that.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say. In Mike Babcock's system, the dump and chase system, whatever it was, whatever he had, where they would have Kasperi Kapanen breaking out and trying to just catch the puck, just get the puck, just beat the icing, whatever his role was then, it worked for him. Right? He was fast enough to get the puck. He was annoying in the offensive zone, at least when he needed to be, right? Mm-hmm. But then you switch over to a more analytics, a more possession-based game. And what do we all know about Kasperi Kapanen? What has he never done on a breakaway?
He doesn't score.
He doesn't score. He can't keep the puck on his stick. He had no hands. The poor guy, like, he was not built for Sheldon Keefe's system. And so I don't blame him. It's just not what he was built to do. He's built to be this fast winger who's now playing with Sidney Crosby, a fast winger who's going to be annoying, get in the zone, and get to the right spot whenever you need him to be there. He's not supposed to carry a puck out. But he didn't do that
for the Leafs. He wasn't always in the right spot. There were defensive gaffes.
Yeah, you're right. There wasn't. But also, look at his line. Who is he playing with? Kerfoot? Kerfoot's going to get him the puck?
Well, you remember they tried him on the Tavares line. It didn't go well.
Again, John Tavares with whoever. John Tavares is supposed to be your finish. John Tavares is supposed to be the guy who can put the puck in from anywhere. I don't need to see John Tavares pass the puck to Kasperi Kapanen. He doesn't need to be there. If you had maybe a Marner Kapanen situation going on, maybe okay, I can see if he doesn't play well there, then what's his excuse?
Right. They're both right wingers.
I know. That's what I'm saying. If you had a person who could pass him the puck, right? John Tavares, as much as he is a point per game player, he's a 40 goal scorer. He can score 40. He can score 30. He should be a shoot first kind of guy, right? I don't want him passing the puck to Kasperi Kapanen. You know how many times he would have passed it to him and Kapanen would have messed it up when it would have been an easy shot on goal for Tavares? I'm just saying the system that Kapanen played in definitely had to do with his downs, right? Okay. And Janssen's the same person. Janssen to me was the same player. They were literally clones of each other. I couldn't tell a difference besides the numbers. I didn't like both. I didn't like either system. I really liked them in Babcock's system.
And maybe that's it. Maybe it just boils down to they're not going to excel under Keefe. Although I can tell you, Andreas Janssen was the Calder MVP with Keefe. So I feel like they could have. I feel like Janssen's the one who got jettisoned because of the cap. I think it made sense to move Kapanen, and we've heard about his off-ice issues as well. Mm-hmm. That one probably makes sense, especially if we don't think that visually he fit, and his numbers weren't overwhelming either. So, okay.
Yeah, so to get back to the question, if the cap hadn't, or if the cap had gone up like it should have, I still don't see them having a spot on this team. There was no way Kapanen was ever going to learn to play this system properly. He is not a possession guy. That's just not what he is. And that's fine. That's fine. He's good somewhere else. I would be surprised if he doesn't score 20 to 25 on Pittsburgh playing with Crosby this year. I would be surprised. I mean, I'd be surprised if anybody didn't score 25 with Crosby. But also, how many times is Kasperi Kapanen going to be the guy carrying the puck out of the zone? Honestly, I bet you I can count it on one hand. Like, maybe one. Maybe once he'll come out of the zone with it.
Okay, so fine.
You know what I mean?
Either way, Jimmy Vesey instead of Kasperi Kapanen on a league minimum deal or a $1 million deal, like whatever it is, you're going to tell me that's way better value anyway, right?
Theoretically, you're just paying less for the same player. Sure. If I don't know, I don't know enough about Vesey. I haven't seen him enough. We'll see what it is.
Yeah, we'll come back to Vesey. I do want to come back to Vesey. Oh man. 3-0 for the I almost said for the Leafs.
The Leafs? I mean, yeah,
there's a Leaf on the jersey, bro.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, because I want to take a look at Vesey as well, and we will come back to him as well. He's got a $900,000 cap hit this year. So, I mean, pound for pound, are you getting exactly what you got out of Kapanen? He's not going to have the speed, but...
What's going on, Collins?
That's my man, Don Collins. Don Collins, welcome to the broadcast. Good to have you. We're happy to have you. Okay. So let's talk about some of these additions that they've made. If we're both very on board, and clearly the defense experiments didn't work out, so if we're okay with these, we'll say swaps. Hey, is that 500 bits from Don? Thanks, man.
Such a sweetheart.
Whenever we fire off an absolutely flawless opinion, or whenever Paul blurts out an absolutely horrible opinion, feel free to throw bits our way. If you agree with the things that we're saying, just lump bits on us. And when Paul says something particularly cavemanish, just throw bits at him and encourage him to make terrible, terrible takes.
My takes are actually pretty accurate.
Because Kasperi Kapanen and Andreas Janssen are pretty much the same people.
Oh,
the show's been going on for 30 minutes.
Watch the game, blur the numbers, tell me they're different. I'm just saying.
One's better in the corners and one's a lot faster. Anyway, so okay, let's talk additions. Let's talk about Vesey for a second. Let's talk about Joe Thornton for a second and Wayne Simmons. So forget the defense, because I think every upgrade that they've made on D is going to be great. As in, I think TJ Brody is going to be everything we want him to be. He's going to be a Jake Muzzin. Yeah, see, there you go. Boom. Throwing bits at Paul because he's making some bad takes. Thank you, Don. Okay, so...
You just wait and see. Continue. Go ahead.
So, on defense, TJ Brody is... I think he's going to be the Jake Muzzin we need, as in we're not going to talk about him very much, and that'll be good.
Yeah.
We'll see what Lettinen turns into. Lettinen as a defenseman of the year in the KHL. So, basically, like as far as I can see with that, we're getting a different player than Nikita Zaitsev, but I want to keep expectations in the same kind of wheelhouse, as in we're getting a guy who was really good in the KHL, and is he going to be a Zaitsev or is he going to be a Mikheyev when he translates to the North American game?
So there's no way here's what I'll say about the KHL. I don't know exactly how... For forwards, I can understand the transition. It is a very skill-based game over there. For defensemen, however, I haven't seen a transition that I've particularly liked, per se. Not necessarily liked. There's definitely defensemen who've come from the KHL that I've liked. However, in terms of Zaitsev, he might have been the best player over there because, well, if he's playing a skill game, you know, he can do that. He can shut down those skill guys. He doesn't have to be the biggest there. However, in North America, it's kind of a different situation. You can't be Nikita Zaitsev stopping Artemi Panarin is very different than Nikita Zaitsev stopping Jamie Benn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's going on, game? How are you?
Yo, what's going on, buddy? I'm just taking a look at the stat line here on Mikko Lehtinen.
Yeah.
So here's what 2019-2020 looked like in the K form. In 60 games played, 17 goals, 32 assists.
17 goals, 32 assists. Yeah.
Of 26.
That sounds kind of like
if
a
you're a
Werenski.
fan.
Yeah.
So what does that look like at the NHL level? Like, what's really realistically, what is your expectations of Mikko Lehtinen?
First of all, I am good, and thanks for asking. That's the game. Sorry. And my expectations for Mikko Lehtinen, I don't know. Be a little bit better than Nikita Zaitsev, and I'll be okay with it. Be a little worse, and it doesn't matter. How much is getting paid again?
That's a good question.
What's going on, Panders?
Lehtinen, it's a minimum deal. He's getting paid $900,000.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can you complain if he doesn't play well? He goes in the taxi squad. We don't hear from him again. It's not a big deal.
Right. Just don't.
If he
sign
plays
him.
amazing. If he plays amazing,
Right.
he makes power play units, power play time, because he's supposed to be a power play specialist, right?
Yeah.
If he makes that time, it can only be a Jason Spezza where he doesn't play, or not. Sorry, he doesn't play. He either plays well and we think he's amazing, or he plays average and no one cares. He's making $900,000. See what I'm saying?
I just want to give you a comparison here.
Go ahead.
That does make sense. You're right. It's a $900,000 contract, but I guess my point is don't get your expectations up too high on a new guy on the D line from the K. He's probably going to be fine, and that'll be good, but it's not like this guy is here to save anything on the D line, which is going to be great, by the way, how deep the defense is. If
That
we
is
take a
something
look
I'll
at
say.
this,
We do have we have defense. We actually have defense for once. We don't have to play Marincin ever. If Marincin ever sees
don't even put that out there. Don't
if he
put that
ever
out
sees
there.
a minute, oh,
Okay,
I'd lose my mind.
hold up for a sec. Okay.
Go ahead.
In Nikita Zaitsev's last year in the KHL, in 46 games, he put up 26 points. So that's already going to tell you what you need to know about Lehtinen, is that, and the power play thing certainly helps. He is obviously more of the offensive-minded D-man.
Yeah.
And you put him with a Zack Pagosian, who's going to be a stalwart on the back end, and all of a sudden, as your third pairing, doesn't that sound really good? So
Yeah,
the defense
wonderful.
is starting to shape up a little bit, and clearly they addressed what they had to. So next, hold on, I just lost my notes here. We're back. So out of all the picks that they made, whether it's Wayne Simmons, Jumbo Joe, or any of them, Paul, I've lost you. Did we lose the caveman? Apparently we lost the caveman. Caveman, come back.
I'm back.
Oh, it worked. I got you back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had a little bit of a lag there. Sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
No, it's all good, man. So, out of everybody who was brought on, and I'd love to hear some opinions out in the chat as well. So, of all the additions that the Leafs made, who's your favorite?
And why is it Zack Pagosian?
You tell me.
I'm dead serious.
Paul, I lost your camera again.
He makes me. Yeah, he makes me. I can fix that. Give me a second.
What
Sorry.
are you doing? Come on, man.
There you go.
You know we're live right now to the whole world.
Oh, 100%. Listen, it is a live show, guys. Just like SNL. Things do go wrong every now and then.
We're arguably funnier.
100%. I agree. In recent years, rip Eddie Murphy. Not that he's dead, but like, yeah. I'm sorry. Can you imagine? Not that it's necessary, but I just want to see a lineup against a Bruins team where they have Marchand, they've got Pasternak, they've got all their big boys out there. They're being annoying, and all of a sudden, Jake Muzzin skates up to Marchand on one side, looks him in the eyes, and says, "Hey, buddy." And then Zack Pagosian from behind says, "I'm here too." And Brad Marchand doesn't get to lick anybody in that series. Does that not sound wonderful?
I think a series where Brad Marchand is lickless sounds like a great A great outcome. So you're super high on Zack Pagosian, but is he even going to be an everyday player?
I don't think I'm not super high on Zack Pagosian. I think he's fine for what he is. What do we get him for? League minimum again? Whatever what we get everybody for?
A little bit more. I think he's on $1 million deal for the 1 year.
All right. Yeah, he's gonna be fine for that 1 million. If he doesn't play every game because he's a little bit older, a little bit slower, not a problem. If we're up against a McDavid, we don't need him out there every day. Mm-hmm. Perfect. You know what? In this Canadian division, it's gonna be fast. It's gonna be quick. I don't think every matchup is gonna be favorable to him, right?
But against Calgary, if you need a little bit more sandpaper,
exactly. If you see like the Tkachuk, if you see Matthew Tkachuk or Brady Tkachuk ever, you know, you're going to put, maybe you can even put Bogosian and Muzzin together. Not that it's necessary, but you can theoretically do that and get a lot more sandpaper.
I like Bogosian because now...
How dare you? 4th or 5th in the Canadian division.
Don's trolling us. Don's trolling us. Just let him be. Bogosian is good because it means that Muzzin doesn't have to do it all. He doesn't have to be the guy to be the big presence. The Leafs are going to finish... They're going to finish first in the division. I have to say first because but it's probably not going to be first.
I would say second. I'm a big fan of the Ottawa Senators.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so this is my logic here. Everybody right now is talking about, the Leafs are going to be first in the division, 100%. That tells me that we as a fan base need to prepare for not being in first in the division. Like, when you set the bar this high, don't do it.
Leafs fans with high expectations? No.
I will attempt over the next however many weeks of the season, however many weeks we end up doing this show and keeping it going, Paul, I will get out. Okay, Don, I'm going to address everything that you're saying. The league minimum players, give me a second. Just let me get my thoughts out in an organized fashion. It's hard for me, but we're trying. Okay. I'm going to try really hard to keep expectations reasonable and modest, but firm. We do expect consistency. Consistency. Yep. Teed that up real well. We do expect consistency. And I think, based on what Kyle Dubas has said over the past couple days, that'll be our measure of success. In a crazy year where we're only playing against teams in our division, I'm not going to guarantee the Leafs finishing in first. I think we can say a playoff spot, and ideally, finishing first or second, so they have home ice at least in the first round. God, broken record.
Yeah.
We've heard this before.
Yeah. Listen, I have high expectations for the Leafs this year. As much as I don't like it, I don't know. These are all competitive teams, but we don't have a Boston to compete with. We don't have a Tampa to compete with. There's no excuse, you know?
Vancouver is a good hockey team. They probably went further than they should have in the recent playoffs, but they're a good hockey team. Edmonton is good. Calgary is good. Winnipeg is good. Ottawa could be surprising. There's no bad teams in this division.
Daycare will never be over.
Okay, Don.
Never.
This is the most important part. While we're talking about all of these additions, okay, number 1 in league minimum players. What does that mean to you, Don? Like, Joe Thornton comes in on a league minimum deal. Now, if you're trying to maximize value on the roster, which obviously the Leafs are, that's kind of their whole MO. They're not scraps, is the point. If you're a veteran player, you want to play for the Leafs because they've got the best facilities and the best staff and the best conditions in the NHL, or they're at least up there. You take the haircut to do it, and if you're the Leafs looking to maximize value, would you rather pay $750,000, a league minimum? Would you rather pay that to a guy on an ELC who doesn't know how to be a professional in the National Hockey League, or would you rather give that to Jumbo Joe Thornton, Wayne Simmons, or similar? To me, it makes perfect sense, Paul.
I don't disagree. I do enjoy these league minimum deals. I mean, you have to pay everybody the league minimum when you've got 4 guys making $40 million. It's the situation we're in. Yes, we'll take the scraps, but you know what? They're not necessarily scraps even. I mean, we saw what Spezza could do on a league minimum.
Yes.
When he has no expectations on him, he can play to the way he wants. You know, he can play as hard as he wants, as fast as he wants, and no one's going to say anything. If he plays bad, league minimum player. Taxi squad, right?
Yeah,
again,
I mean, okay, so he's one hit away from the press box. Don, I think you're crazy because this is the same guy who was willing to drop the gloves with Nazem Kadri, and even if he ends up getting injured, is it really any sweat off our back? Like, you don't want to see it happen, but if you lose Joe Thornton to injury, is that going to break your whole team? No, that's the beauty of these value plays. Like, I'm sorry, I'd rather have a guy who was at Joe Thornton's level and is now over his prime. I'd rather have him than a new kid any day of the week.
Marcelo brings up a good point. Marcellus.
A better chance for finding a diamond in the rough with new talent? I'm going to disagree with you. Because, Marcelo, the odds of you finding... Remember, we're not just talking about new talent. Okay, we're talking about players that are low-depth draft picks or whatever.
Okay.
Like, you're not going to find a Joe Thornton.
No, you're not. And... Let's put into perspective here for just a second. Would you this season rather have had? Not saying Jimmy VC is old by any means.
Good, because he's.
But
not.
We know what Jimmy VC was. We know what he is.
I don't think we do.
At least on other rosters, we do. Right? Even with Joe Thornton, would you rather have had Joe Thornton take up that roster spot, or as you said in our last podcast that we had, would you rather have someone like a Jeremy Bracco who is unproven? Yes, he's been unproven and he's been a bit of a dumpster fire, but he's young, he's fast. Nick Robertson will not play for the Leafs this year. I'm calling it right now. He will not play for the Leafs. Maybe 1 or 2 games, but I don't see him.
Hold on. What are you calling then? He won't play for the Leafs.
I don't see him.
He might play 1 or 2 games, but he won't play for the Leafs.
I don't see him as a roster player.
See what I mean, by the way? But that's a dumb caveman take. Throw the bits at him. Okay. VC, 27 years old, never a star. However, was a Baker Award winner in college. Thank you, Don. Was a Baker Award winner in college. Was a... played with Alex Kerfoot, by the way, so there's some chemistry there. And has the ability to finish. Probably had some work ethic issues. Wasn't given a chance to succeed around a bad team in New York. I'm just saying he could very much surprise. I agree.
I don't think VC is I think VC is actually using the Leafs this year. I think he's taking this platform to play with the best players he can. Yeah. And then get out of here, right? And you know what? If he puts up 30 points, not 30 points, if he puts up 20 goals playing with Tavares and Nylander, if he stays on that line, that line's solid, and he puts up 30 goals, 20 goals, you think he's going to stay for a league minimum? Absolutely not.
No, but that's fine.
And that's fine. That's fine. But again,
I've got a question.
Now here we're running into a problem. Now we run into a problem because we just lost a guy who scored 30 goals for us, who scored 25 goals for us, and now we have to replace him with a kid who didn't get a shot last year.
It's found money. Like, and you're saying if Jimmy VC goes off and scores 25 goals this year, which he probably won't, then it's like, oh no, we lost him. No, all of those goals are bonus. My question is, and Marcelo, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. Peter, we're probably going till about 8 tonight, but would you rather, if you only could have had one, would you have rather Jimmy VC for $900,000 or 41-year-old Joe Thornton for $700,000? If you could only have had one.
I take, just based on age, I'd take VC here, but.
Would you really?
I'd take the younger guy, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a Marcelo, it's a 1-year deal. It's a 1 year, and I'm sorry, I'm taking Jumbo, who's over the hill, because he's still going to be a good presence in the locker room. Clearly, you need to, like, they need role models. Apparently, Spezza on his own wasn't enough, so fine. But that's what I'm saying, like...
So wait, okay, just a question, because clearly you're doing a bad take here. If I do a bad take, they throw bits at me. If you do a bad take, what are we going?
Well, I don't
Playoff
know.
experience goes far. Andrew, I disagree. When you've never won a Stanley Cup and you've only ever gotten eliminated and choked, one bit. See, that's how bad your take was. If you've only ever choked in the playoffs, tell me how much experience is that really? Honestly.
It's not that he choked, and it's also not only on Jumbo. Like, anyway, we've spent too long on this.
No,
topic.
You're right, but I've never seen one of the longest tenured captains stripped because of what reason? What reason was Joe Thornton stripped of his captaincy?
He was old, and Marlowe was a little younger. A little younger. Like, yeah, this doesn't sound good.
Like, come on, no, they got rid of it for a reason. Okay. I don't dislike Joe Thornton. I really don't. As far as him coming on to the Leafs first line, I might have issues with that. If you're gonna give someone a shot, I mean, sure, give it to Joe Thornton, but there could be better options.
Okay, but anyway, you are still okay. You're still okay with him being on the team. Is there anybody that was picked up that you actually see as unnecessary? I mean, like, let's leave Jumbo out of the conversation.
Aaron Dell.
You think Aaron Dell is unnecessary?
We have Michael Hutchinson.
Go away, Paul. I told you yesterday, if we ever have to talk about Martin Marincin or Michael Hutchinson on this show, I'm done. The fact that Hutch is in the system angers me greatly.
No, I love it.
Like, he had a good playoff for Colorado, kind of. No, man, I can't. And you're going to tell me that Aaron Dell is unnecessary. He's our third goalie. If Michael Hutchinson gets a start ahead of Aaron Dell, I'm going to lose it.
No, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It depends. How many back-to-backs are there going to be?
A lot.
Right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's why it's going to be Campbell working with Freddie.
Yeah. Very excited for Campbell.
If there's anybody who I thought was unnecessary in terms of the additions, I would probably... Aaron and Joe can be drinking buddies, both ex-Sharks. Yeah.
I feel like Don might be a little upset that we took Joe Thornton from him.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think Don's a crazy Sharks fan. I don't know. He was chirping the deal the second it went through, so I think that's just Don being Don. I'm just looking at the list. Like, the one guy who I don't really get in all of it is, and I guess because you traded for him, but bringing on Joey Anderson from the Devils, I just think is the fact that they went out of their way to get him, or so they said. Like, I get that you're not going to speak the truth if you didn't actually want him. You're not going to, but
who is this guy? I'm sorry. Who is he?
Well, they gave him a 3-year, 2-way deal at the end of October.
In typical Leafs fashion, sorry to cut you off, Danny. In typical Leafs fashion, we've taken a traded player when we wanted to honestly just dump Andreas Janssen for cap. We got this guy back in return for whatever reason. Yeah. Right? Just to make it seem like we wanted this player. Whatever. I don't care what the reason is. But we got this player.
They re-signed him, so they clearly want him.
Yeah, and then the Leafs Leafs media makes the biggest deal out of him. Like, he's gonna be some grit and grindy player who's gonna play on the fourth line. Why? Why even have him? Why give him a spot? We have Nick Robertson who can go in and play, and this guy's gonna take his job.
No, I don't think he is.
Not his job specifically, but it's a roster spot that you could have made for something, made room. You know what I'm saying?
It might be a Marlies move. Like, he's on a 2-way deal, right? They'll move him. It'll be fine if they need to. I feel like you're right, Paul. There is a lot of talent everywhere else.
All done. Everybody get your brews, all right?
I'm on coffee, man. It's been one of those days. Although I forgot what it was like to deal with you. You know, when we did the old show, I was never drinking, but I might need to.
you haven't started, start now.
Yeah, right? Okay.
Oof, oof.
So anyway, it's the one that doesn't make sense to me. But then in terms of a dark horse, like, can we break down this Jimmy VC pick a little bit more? Am I the only one who's getting really excited for him?
VC. You're very high on VC.
I was high on him when the Rangers signed him a couple years ago, when he came off of college. I think it's weird that they have him on the second line right now instead of Mikheyev.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we kind of know what we're getting out of Mikheyev, and Mikheyev was all work ethic to go with Tavares and Willie. I would have liked to see Kerfoot with Vesey.
I would have liked to see Kerfoot out of the system. That would have been nice.
We don't know what Kerfoot is, and this goes back to the fact that last season was all injuries. Kerfoot never had a steady role, and you'd like to hope that he does this year. Yeah. I think that Jimmy Vesey has the potential to really pop. I think you're being nuts calling 25 goals, but
no, I was
15
being
out of the realm
facetious.
of possibility in a 50-game season.
I was being facetious. Shout out to my dad for teaching me that word one day.
Was that your first time using that word too?
No, I've used that word before.
Facetious and digress in the same day.
Facetious, yeah. I'm on a roll, guys. This is what happens when you stop swearing, or try to at least. I like Jimmy Vesey as a dark horse. I'm still really high on the Zack Pagosian pickup. I don't think he's going to be anything bigger than what we know he already is. I don't see how he plays worse than what we already know what he is. We know he's probably going to be a little slower than we want, but he's a big body to be annoying. I'm surprised no one has said anything about this report of Joe Thornton going on the first line. I can't believe no one has given the opinion, well, why not put Simmons there instead? If you're going to put a big... Sorry, hear me out.
What?
Hear me out.
No.
If you're gonna put a big body veteran
Did you just
on
ask...
that first line, why not put Wayne Simmons, who can put 30 goals in? Dude, maybe he's not in his prime, but Joe Thornton is a passer. He's not a scorer.
Okay.
You have
what?
Go ahead. You can talk.
Are you sure? Because you were about to just dive into what was guaranteed to be an awful, awful take.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Where are the goals coming from in that line? Where are the goals coming from on that line? Aside from Austin,
you know what? Hold on. No. Last year, there was... I can't remember this guy's name. They had a guy on the team last year. He scored a lot of goals. Matthews. Austin Matthews. That's a dumb question.
You think he's going to score 100 goals? Absolutely not. There's a cap, buddy.
Dude.
There's a cap to how
Marner,
many times...
By the way, Marner's going to score. Marner is going to score more than we've seen him score this year. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there as an opinion. However,
I can see that happening.
The reason why Thornton is on that first line and not Wayne Simmons, who I do want to spend some time talking about, is because Joe Thornton's one of the best passers in this whole generation. And it doesn't matter if he...
I agree.
The one thing that has never been in question about Joe is that he can still make plays and he can still pass the puck. He's got legs. That might be the issue, that they're not quite where they used to be. But, dude, if you're really going to tell me that you'd rather see Wayne Simmons passing the puck to a finisher like Matthews and watch, because Marner will finish this year, I don't know where you're coming from, man.
No, I much rather see Nylander on that line. But, again, that's my own fantasy. So
that doesn't do much for me, man. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Well, either way, we can get into line combinations that we want to see next time, but
yeah, great targets on the first line for assists for Joe. See, Don is finally, I think by the end of the season, Don will have come around on this Joe Thornton thing. I don't think Joe Thornton is going to spend the entire year on that first line. This is the part that I don't get. And this is what Sportsnet, by the way, seemed to think was because if you wanted to get Jumbo Joe, it wasn't just about taking the league minimum and being on a team with a shot at competing for the cup so that he would finally get it. Sportsnet, the Hockey Central guys said, well, they're probably bringing him on because, or they're putting him with Matthews because they promised that they'd make him a role. But, I don't understand how you're going to play Joe Thornton this year. I thought there is no way that you would play Joe Thornton for every game this year on account of him being 41 and the schedule being condensed. So
Yeah.
To put him on the first line, like, it doesn't quite make sense to me.
Well, clearly they've got a plan. Maybe their plan is that he doesn't skate at all and he just lets Marner and Matthews do their thing and just passes them the puck. Maybe that's their plan. Who knows? Right? Training camp is starting. Mm-hmm. We're going to see pretty quickly what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, I'm excited for the next week. I really am.
But let's talk about we have projected, let's say, first line. Thornton, Matthews
on day 1 of training camp.
On day 1 of training camp.
Right.
Second line, we have right now VC, Tavares, Nylander.
Mm-hmm.
Third line, they've said Mikheyev, Kerfoot, and Hyman, which is an annoying line. Oh my god.
That's the one I don't get, if I'm being honest.
So annoying. That's gonna be a hard line to play.
There's
against. Hopefully Kerfoot steps up. But again, also yes, Phil Kessel does eat hot dogs before games. It's what gives him his shot power.
Okay. Let's back up and talk about that third line. Like, you had a good question that you wanted to talk about as well. Like, you want to talk about Sheldon Keefe and what kind of difference in systems and things we'll be looking at.
I want to know what's the change. What's going to be different? He actually gets a training camp this year. Clearly, he didn't have the time in the prep last season, and the kids were still trying to shift away from the Babcock system into the Sheldon Keefe system, which, if I had to put it as plainly as possible, Babcock system seemed very dump and chase, fight hard on pucks, go and get it, boys, and like be responsible in your own end. That seemed like the Babcock system, where Sheldon Keefe and Kyle Dubas kind of have this new analytical dream where we're never going to give them the puck, so we're just going to play possession the whole time. We're going to keep it as long as possible.
Well, so here's my question.
And that seems to be the difference for me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate summary. My question is this. What is the purpose of that third line? So the year that the Leafs were super dominant, the year before Tavares, so the Leafs sophomore year, 17-18.
Yep.
Kadri was playing that shutdown role really well, and everybody, like, whenever he was on the ice, he was shutting people down. And then in the couple of years since, we haven't exactly had that shutdown line to the same effect. Is this third line supposed to be that? With Kerfoot, with Hyman, and Mikheyev? Like,
I don't like that. That doesn't say, I'd rather see Matthews play shutdown or Tavares play shutdown.
Drysdale!
Let's go, Canada. We're going to sing "Oh Canada" if they win, right, Danny? Oh, we're not going to be live for that. Damn.
Well, I don't know how much time's left in the game.
Probably 2 hours.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, so... Yeah, I'd rather see Matthews or, like, maybe not Tavares. I want to see Matthews turn into that Barkov, that Bergeron type player who plays defense and is the most responsible guy.
Yeah.
His most responsible guy on the ice, and you can put your trust in him and your faith in him. And I hope that is what he is. And Schneider scored. Okay.
All right.
And I'm cool with that. I want to see that. I don't know what this line is. This line, Mikheyev, Kerfoot, and Hyman.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just Hyman. It seems like a Babcock line to me. It seems like a dump, chase, and get the puck in their zone.
Because there's no finish on that line. Like,
no, absolutely
maybe
not.
Mikheyev, maybe Kerfoot.
Actually,
so
sorry.
Not what it's
my
for.
apologies. There is finish. Zack Hyman had a 19% shooting percentage last year.
Okay. So there's no finish on that line.
Oh, wow. That's disappointing.
Like, it would have made more sense to me to at least swap Mikheyev and VC. Put VC with Nylander. Sorry, put Mikheyev with Tavares and Nylander, right?
Yeah.
Like, let him grind, or actually put Hyman up there. Leave Mickey on the third line with Kerfoot so he can do the grindy stuff for Kerfoot and VC. VC can finish. We know VC can finish. If they give him power play time, it's going to be because he can finish. So why not put a little finish on all three lines?
So here is my only suggestion for this, and I've got a suggestion and then a question for you if you'll allow it.
I'll indulge.
My suggestion is this line is seeming more and more to me like Tampa's third line. Maybe not with as good finish. What?
Who's on that line?
Cirelli, Coleman, and sorry, this is going off the top of my head. I can't remember exactly. I can go try and search it up real quick.
Yeah, I'll find it for you. But anyway, what's the point you're making? I'll find the names.
The point I'm making is they sound like a very annoying line to play against that is just going to grind you down in the corners, wear out whatever line they're up against, wear them down. You could put them up against anybody and they should be defensively responsible, right? And if they happen to score because they wore the other team out, that's amazing, right? But I don't know. I don't know if Kerfoot is going to be able to do that. I don't know if Hyman has the size or if Mikheyev is going to have the physicality, which he does, but, you know.
Would rather have 3 lines or all 4 lines that score rather than just relying on the core players. See, yeah, producer Nick has got a great point here. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking.
I can understand.
The ways that the Cirelli right now is anchoring the second line with Tyler Johnson and Alex Killorn.
Yes, I believe that's
Coleman's
because
with Yanni Gord and Gaudreau.
Look at what happened last season. Last season was what you have to think about. I think it was actually Killorn, Cirelli, and Gaudreau. Or no, Barclay Gaudreau, right?
Yeah.
Not Coleman.
Okay.
Is Coleman on this team? No,
Coleman
is Coleman on this team? I can't remember. Okay, then I think it was Coleman, Cirelli, and Barclay Gaudreau. That was their third line. It's a very annoying third line and not really a heavy scoring line.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, they don't really score that often, but they're super annoying. They wear you down, and it led them to a cup.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I just realized that we're sitting at 399 followers. So if anybody watching this right now isn't following Bingpot TV, please follow Bingpot TV. You can be our 400 follower.
And you win a pizza. We don't pay for it, though. Sorry.
Yeah, and by win a pizza, you have to buy yourself a pizza, but you can, and you'll be celebrating the fact that you're our 400th follower.
Exactly.
Love it. It's fantastic.
Fantastic. So here's my question for you now.
Yep.
Okay? Clearly this is all training camp and it's all hypothetical.
Yes.
But the fact that Keith is willing to put Thornton on that first line and split up, not necessarily, or willing to put Thornton and Vesey on that first and second line, and willing to split up Hyman from Tavares and Matthews. Yeah. Does that mean he's willing to experiment and maybe get rid of Mike Babcock's greatest achievement on the Leafs in Zach Hyman? It doesn't even leave it open. You know what I mean? I agree. Canada relief benefit. Kadri for Barry was
going to catch up to the Leafs negatively.
Yeah, when Colorado beats us in the finals this year, that's how. Yeah,
okay. If that's the only look, man, I love Nazem Kadri more than anybody else. Like I really did. I'm not gonna harp on this. It wasn't great, but you got him out of the dressing room. If that's what was important to the Leafs, great, they did it. The Barry thing didn't work out. This deal's done. It's not going to catch up to us. There's no way it can catch up to us. I mean, they re-signed Kerfoot when they traded for him. And if Kerfoot doesn't play well, then maybe it catches up to us. But I don't know. Kerfoot's probably going to get drafted by Seattle. Anyway, I think Mike Babcock tried to build this identity that would function at an elite level no matter who the Leafs were playing against. Sheldon Keefe has proven that he'll tinker depending on who their opponent is. So it's almost like I see, especially because we have a lot of back-to-backs or 3 and 4s, you'll, like 3 games in a row against the same team. So Sheldon Keefe, I think, will really, really enjoy that, being able to play with his matchups and like, this didn't work in game 1, let's tweak.
But what I'm saying is... Yeah. Zach Hyman, sorry, let me rephrase it. Zach Hyman was the perfect Mike Babcock player. We can agree on that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but wait.
Why? Is he? Because he got pucks in deep. He was gritty. He put in the hard work, the effort. He was consistent. You know, it wasn't
the consistency.
You know what you
got
from
him such a Babcock player.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and he was listening to Babcock, and he was willing to do everything Mike Babcock wanted. Is he a good Sheldon Keefe player? because it matters. It does.
I don't
yes,
think
Zach Hyman is a great player.
I don't think there's a
But
coach
is
in the
he-
National Hockey League who wouldn't want Zach Hyman.
No, I completely agree. But does he suit the system? Does he suit
Yes.
Mike Babcock's system better or Sheldon Keefe's?
I think he's versatile.
Okay,
I
does
think
he suit Barry Trotz's system better or Sheldon Keefe's?
it's a good
Do
question.
you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I'm trying to say there are teams that could take him for whatever we could give him for, and he's not necessarily expendable in a sense. However, he is maybe not the best player in this system. And I have a feeling we're going to see that this year. As much as I love him, especially with his contract coming up, I can see either the Leafs lessening his workload, trying to make him less valuable, or which would be smarter, trying to get something for him before they let him go for nothing. I think this is the Leafs moving on from Zach Hyman, and I'm not happy about it. I think it's a prelude.
But you think, I mean, are you saying they're making a statement by putting him on the third line here, or you just think the writing's on the wall and?
No, I just think it's the writing's on the wall. I think it's kind of obvious that if they're willing to test out, clearly if it doesn't go well and Zach Hyman's back on the top two lines, I don't see this conversation going any further. But if he starts on the third line and he stays on the third line, you can't tell me you don't see him getting traded.
I don't
with
see him
all
getting
the
traded.
replacements we have.
I don't see him getting traded
In a contract year. He is worth $3 to $4 million. We don't have that cap.
Okay, so
I know you don't like it. Believe me, I don't like it either.
Look, as much as I hate
You
the
can't.
term,
You can't.
as much as I hate the term own rental, they're not going to trade him. Like, he stays on this team through the end of the year, and he is.
Okay, so you don't see him as expendable.
No, this is a team with Stanley Cup considerations. You don't trade him away to anybody.
Not for somebody who can play in your system better.
Better
Who's
with
worth
term.
something similar.
I would find it very, very unusual if they traded Zach Hyman this year. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen because stuff like that will bite me in the ass, but like...
No, I totally understand what you're saying. Being a Columbus fan, if you'll let me for a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
There is a player on Columbus who suits the Leafs better than he suits Columbus. And he's a young guy, he's a rookie, and Columbus would probably never get rid of him. But his name's Alexander Texier.
Okay.
He's a very gritty player. He's just like Zach Hyman, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Except he has better possession numbers. If that comes to... If that trade were available...
Yeah.
Would you say the Leafs wouldn't make that trade? Not saying that it is, but would you say it's not? They wouldn't? He suits the system better, longer term, whatever
You're
it
saying
is.
that he suits the system better.
He's more of a possession guy than Zach Hyman is, but he still does Zach Hyman's role.
I think a mid-season trade, regardless of what you think about fitting systems, I think disrupting any kind of chemistry mid-season when you're a Stanley Cup contender is a bad idea. That's what I think.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
I think you're right. I don't like it. However, I think it's training camp. They're going to see what they have, and it might not be mid-season.
I don't know how you sell me on Zach Hyman. First of all, I don't know how you sell me on Zach Hyman's not coming back. Like, I anticipate he will be back in blue next year.
I hope he takes a pay cut, but yeah. Not a pay cut, but like I hope he keeps he keeps his contract, kind of, for however long. But
yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. Hey, let's talk about our fourth line.
Oh yeah,
because we've spent all this time talking about three lines. We have
line
what's that?
The fourth line that we have, or the fifth line we can make with all the extra guys we have. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, we don't know who's going to be on the fourth line when this year starts. Here are some names: Wayne Simmons, Nick Robertson, Pierre Engvall, Joey Anderson, aforementioned, Jason Spezza, Nick Patan, and Barabanov.
I don't know his first name either.
Barabanov.
I think it's Barabanov.
Another import from the K who could potentially be another Mikheyev. We don't know. So I just gave you 7 names?
7
and
names.
You can only take 3 of those guys onto your fourth line. Who are you taking?
I think it's clear as day that Spezza will be our fourth line center. I feel like if anybody else was our fourth line center, I would be absolutely floored.
Even if it was Pierre Engvall?
Okay, well then Spezza's going to be on
Giraffe!
Either way,
Giraffe!
Spezza will be on that fourth line. I don't see them re-signing him, making promises to him coming back and being like, okay, put me on the taxi squad, guys. Like, I don't see that happening.
So just the difference between fourth line and active roster guys in taxi squad. So don't forget about the waiver rule. Anybody that gets moved to the taxi squad has to go through waivers unless they're waiver exempt, which is why Nick Robertson is probably going to start on the taxi squad. I can say Joey Anderson probably will as well because he's on a two-way. I don't know what Barabanov's status is.
No, he's gonna start. I feel like Engvall's also on a two-way, so he's probably gonna start there as well. Mm-hmm. Which leads me to Nick Patan being the odd man out here as the one who doesn't make it, and I can see Spezza, Simmons, and Barabanov being our fourth line.
With maybe Engvall on the team as well you can switch out Spezza and Engvall. Because the same deal with what I said earlier about Joe Thornton and Wayne Simmons even. Like, these guys aren't going to play every game. There's no way. No. I don't see Jumbo playing every game this season. I don't see any of the older guys doing that. Especially, this is the same organization with the same relative way of thinking as the Raptors did with Kawhi and load management. Like, they're going to take care of their guys.
Yeah, for sure. These guys are a little bit brittle, which is, I guess, to, again, Don and Marcelo's point earlier, they should use younger guys more often than not, right? Yeah, I do see Robertson making the team and playing a little bit. I still don't think he's going to be anything big on this team with what we've done already. I don't see him taking a spot for good.
So your fourth line, I just want to make sure I heard that all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your fourth line is going to be Jason Spezza in the middle of Barabanov and Wayne Simmons.
Yeah, I don't see them doing Barabanov dirty. I mean, he's coming over to from the KHL. I don't see him. See, there you go. Simmons Spezza. I wouldn't call that a shutdown line, but yeah, I mean, he's got the idea.
That's what I mean. Like, that doesn't scream checking line to me. I don't know about. I'm going to look up Barabanov's numbers.
No, which is why it's even weirder that Mikheyev or that Joe Thornton is on that first line. Is that you have things like this that are going to come up, and it's just going to be interesting, right?
So he doesn't score, and he was a minus player in the K. But if he doesn't score, what that'll tell me is that Barabanov can
most likely penalty kill.
Yeah, but also like he'll have a physicality that'll probably translate better to the small ice. Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know enough about Barabanov to say that he might be the guy who ends up checking on the on that line, right?
Yep.
If that's the case,
again, I don't know what we know with Barabanov. But if that's the case, I don't know what we have with him.
Spezza shouldn't be your center, not routinely. Like the way I see this,
it's going to be between him and Engvall. But again, I say they would start with Spezza just out of like, hey, sorry for what happened last year.
And then on your third line, like you could move Jumbo to center your third line. Move Mikheyev or Hyman up with Matthews, put Kerfoot on the wing with VC. And all of a sudden, that makes way more sense to me than having that third line with a fourth line composed of Wayne Simmons, Barabanov, and Spezza. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I can hear what you're saying. I see it. I still think that this is going to be a very interesting training camp where we're gonna see what kind of system Sheldon Keefe wants to run here. I think that's what it's going to come down to. If we're running grit, and that's why you have Joe Thornton on that top line to add that little bit of grit.
I don't think that's
as well as
keep the top line. I don't know why he's on. This is killing me, Paul. Like I can't figure it out. Maybe Clear Player Nick, if you guys have I'm looking for an answer. Why Joe Thornton is on that line with Matthews and Marner. From a hockey strategy point of view, from an anything, it just doesn't make sense to me. I love that he's here. I love that he's on the team. It doesn't make sense.
No, absolutely not. And, I mean, this is kind of like what leads into, like, what questions do you have for training camp? Because there's so many unanswered things. What is Sheldon Keefe thinking with Joe Thornton?
Mm-hmm.
Why is VC not with Kerfoot? Who's playing on this fourth line? Is our defense going to be as standard as we think it's going to be, or is there something up Sheldon Keefe's sleeve here? You know, maybe a Muzzin Brody instead of a Riley.
It's
Brody.
not going to be
what's it going to be?
Brody. No,
absolutely not. But what's going on?
Well, we know what the pairings are. We know everything. Brody, Riley, Muzzin, Hall, Lettinen, Pagosian. The question is anybody going to have such an impressive training camp that the ideas that we think we have right now are going to... Basically, it happens every year. Somebody shows up and has a wicked camp that you just did not expect, and they end up cracking the top six.
I 100% agree. And Martin Marincin seems to be that player. Go away,
Paul. Go away. I'm throwing you off the show.
I just feel it. In my heart of hearts, he's going to play a game. And I'm so excited for that.
Is that your prediction for the season?
Oh, that's my hot take for the season. Martin Marincin gets in a game. That's my hot take for the season.
That's just
one,
fire.
And he's gonna score, and we're all gonna love it. Okay, but Danny, now answer me this. You're talking about, players who have a good training camp come in like thunder and lightning.
Yeah. Right?
And they just storm the team and they get their top six role.
Yeah.
Who do you want to see? Who do you want to be that player?
For me,
that
it's not
storms
about
the camp.
For me, it's not about picking someone to be that player. I know that's not a sexy answer. Like, I'd love to tell you that I want Jimmy Vesey to rip up training camp. I don't. I guess I want to see Wayne Simmons have a really good camp. I don't like that even the way we're talking about this right now, Wayne Simmons as a starter on this lineup seems to be a little in doubt. Like neither of us and nobody in the chat is saying Hundo, Wayne Simmons is going to be on that opening night lineup. I would like to see him.
I would think we got him for a reason, hopefully.
Well, we did, and I mean, same deal. Like, take the older guys that are proven and put them on instead of the young blood. That's still my take. I would say that pending a big camp from Simmons, it would be really nice to see Nick Robertson have such a strong camp that he has to make the team. Mind you, I don't know that would make sense for cap reasons, and he might have the best camp and still not be allowed on the team.
Are you at all afraid
of what?
That Robertson gets left behind this season?
No, because Nick Robertson getting left behind means he's probably on the taxi squad. There's no OHL season, and as of right now, they don't know if he can play in the Marlies. I don't think they've announced anything about a Marlies season yet, but they still don't know. This is what Dubas said yesterday, is that Nick Robertson's up in the air. So that's one thing they could do, is just keep him on the taxi squad, bring him with the team, kind of have him soak up all that stuff through osmosis. I think I think he'll get into some games anyway this year, be it covering for injuries or what. And I think he's that good. I think he's good enough to do it.
Okay.
Maybe he's the guy who has a really big camp and displaces VC, and then we're just not talking about VC anymore. VC's on the taxi squad, whatever. That's what I see. And then I guess the last one is Lettinen. I would like to see. I know what I said earlier, that KHL players, you just kind of have to knock on wood and hope. But I would say I would be very happy to see a strong camp from Miro Lettinen.
Okay, and now my last question for this, at least, or my big question for this: which actual player on the Leafs, which starting lineup player, which star on the Leafs needs to come into camp looking fantastic?
Fantastic,
yeah. Who needs to prove the point here? Who needs to show up to camp and make a statement
Mitch.
that Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say either Mitch or Tavares, but remembering that play-in series against Columbus, as much as results being what they were, John Tavares was really consistent in that series. So was Austin Matthews. Willie was a little quiet, but Mitch was the one where we're like, where is this guy? So I would tell you that Mitch Marner needs to show up and just cast away all doubt. Now, we don't have any preseason games. We have a 10-day training camp, and for the guys to get acquainted, to run some drills together, like, it's not going to give us the idea that we want. You'd like to see Mitch in some game action, so I guess we won't really know until the actual season starts. But I think if you're asking me who's got to have the biggest camp in the most positive way, it's got to be Mitch to just cast away the doubt. And Tavares is a close second because of how he started the year last year.
I would disagree, and I would say it is Tavares.
Okay. Because?
And only because when we signed him, John Tavares was what? A first-line dominant center. A franchise center of the New York Islanders. We stole from that team.
No, we didn't. He left on his own free will and accord.
Okay, I understand.
That's fine. Just put it out there.
However,
Yep.
since then, has he lived up to that name?
Yeah.
Can you honestly look me in the eyes and tell me that John Tavares is a franchise center for the Toronto Maple Leafs? That he has that ability right now. That he did prove it over the last 2 seasons.
John Tavares is a franchise center for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He is our captain.
Bullshit.
For a reason.
Bull.
He is our captain for a reason. He had a career year 2 years ago. And if you just think that... Okay, if you're going to sit here and tell me... If you're going to sit here and tell me that he... I don't know what you're telling me. I think you're just stirring the pot to make a pot.
Danny. No. Is Austin Matthews better than John Tavares?
That's not a yes or no question.
No, it is a yes or no question.
No, that's not a... You can't just say better. Is he a better goal scorer? 100%. Is he a better leader in the dressing room? Probably not. Is he a more consistent player?
That's not what I'm asking.
Right,
is
what are you
Austin
asking?
Matthews a better player than John Tavares?
Need you to define player.
It is clear cut. Austin Matthews, people would rather have on their team rather than John Tavares. I think if you asked anybody,
that's what you're asking.
Age,
yes, if that's what you're asking, I will take Austin Matthews over John Tavares if I could only have one on my team. Yes.
Why is it such an easy yes? John Tavares is supposed to be a franchise center. Why is such an easy yes?
Goal scoring ability, and it's the NHL, and goals are what matters the most. And then age is the other factor where Austin Matthews isn't in his prime yet.
I've seen things. I've watched John Tavares play on the Islanders. He was far better there than I've seen him so far. I want to see him take that step back to where his true form is. That dominant force on the ice where even if he's on the second line, I want him to control.
What did we say in the opening quarter of this show? Where I said, hey, Tavares had a kid. He was inconsistent last year because he had a kid. And Mr. Canada Relief Benefit in the chat, I would like to see you at least acknowledge that.
I need to see him have a great camp. I need him to come out and be like, my kid doesn't bother me. He goes to bed on time.
Now he does because he's not a newborn.
Because I'm John Tavares and I put my kids to bed on time and it's not going to affect me.
It doesn't matter if you put the kid to bed on time or not. If you have a newborn, he's not sleeping through the night for the first 6 months.
No,
sorry, dude. Nothing is going to stop that kid from waking up John Tavares at 4 a.m.
Still not an excuse.
It's a pretty good excuse.
You're a professional athlete. Your job is not to let things on the outside world bother you. That's why I don't buy this Mitch Marner thing either. I'm sorry. You get paid to be an athlete. The fact that, who was it? And it was a different sport. James Harden shows up to Rockets training camp out of shape. You're paid to be in shape.
But we're not talking about showing up out of shape.
You're paid to show up to the game and not have an excuse for why you're playing bad. You're
John Tavares didn't make excuses. But John Tavares never said, "Hey, I had a kid and that's making my life difficult." No, because he did handle it like a pro who doesn't make excuses. Doesn't mean he wasn't having his sleep interrupted. Doesn't mean that wasn't getting to his focus. And he still put up good numbers because he's John Tavares. So
that's not enough.
I get that I get that he needs to have a big camp. But if you're trying to tell me that it's more important that he show up stronger than Mitch, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to disagree with you. Sorry, bud.
I don't know. I still don't see. Not that I think I've taken a lesser harsh approach thinking about
sound pretty harsh.
How Mitch has been playing. Yeah, but last season I was pretty livid with how he did. And this season, going into it, I'm taking a look at it, and you know what? The numbers don't lie. In 59 games, he had 16 points. 16 goals, excuse me, and 67 points. The guy is on fire all the time. Like
talking about Mitch?
Mitch here.
You know that last year was a disappointing year for Mitch.
And I understand
it's great,
that.
Isn't it?
I totally understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he actually had 16 goals. I thought it was a lot less. Him with 16 goals kind of shows me that, you know what, this guy theoretically could score 25.
Okay.
30.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So because I see that now, and I know that Mitch, of all players on this team, is probably going to be the first one to get 100 and whatever points,
mm-hmm.
I'm not too worried about him showing up well for camp. I know he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. Tavares still needs to prove to me that his -7 last year was an anomaly. Because that can't happen again. That's as bad as Tyson Barrie.
Why would you assume that it's not an anomaly? Like, why would you assume? Because what you're telling me...
Because last year was so bad. That's why.
What you're telling... Can you read...
so bad to watch.
If you're looking at it,
watch
can you read me Tavares' stat line? I was so bored. Can you read Tavares' stat line to me?
From last season?
Yeah.
63 games, 26 goals, 34 assists, 60 points. -7, 24 penalty minutes, 21 power play points.
So he still scored 26 goals is my big takeaway from that. He would have scored 30.
Okay, that's no problem. 30's fine.
So, and I'm saying it was a good year. It's a good stat. It's not $11 million a year good.
No, but as Nick just said, Tavares is a better two-way player. Why is he -7?
Because he was going up against the best competition.
Why is Matthews +19?
Because
what a monster.
Because Tavares was going up against the best competition, so Matthews racked up all the goals. Come on.
Still.
It still works, but you're bringing him on because he's a two-way guy. So, all right, what does a good camp from him actually look like?
I want to see him ready.
What does that mean to you?
I want to see him connecting with whoever it is on his line.
So what?
I don't even know what a good camp actually is.
Do you just want to see some pretty highlights?
I want to see Captain Sirius, which is Taves, but I'm going to take it for
nice save. Nice. It was a good
It is Taves. He's injured right now, so he's the next Captain Sirius.
Okay.
Right?
No.
He's pretty serious. I want to see him show up ready to go, ready to play with anyone, and I want him to make VC a better player. I want VC to have a good camp too, because I want him to be playing so well because Tavares came in like thunder and lightning and decided, you know what, Austin? This may be your team, but I'm the captain here, and this is my ship. I want to see that. I want to see him say to everybody, it's not so clear-cut that Matthews is a better player than me. It's not so clear-cut that Matthews should win a Selke for whatever reason, and I shouldn't. I want to see him come in.
Anything about Matthews winning a Selke?
Oh no, there's always been talks about he's going to be one of the best defensive players in the league. That's just Toronto media for you.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying.
Clear play. Penalty
shot for Cousin.
What's
nice.
going on here now?
Good for Dylan.
I'm still seeing 4-0. It's
Probably
all
not.
Canada in this game.
Yeah, no. Oh, he just missed. That's rough.
I like the play-by-play.
Shout out Dylan Cousins.
Paul.
Yes, sir.
So if you want to see some pretty highlights and some good connections between Tavares and VC, and that's what's going to call it a good camp for you from Tavares, what is
Not
a good
pretty
camp?
highlights.
What does a good camp look like for the big offseason edition, TJ Brody?
He needs to not earn his spot. I think his spot is fine. He's played with Mark Giordano for God knows how long. And the amount of knowledge he's soaked up from that, I need to see it translate with Mitch. Not Mitch, sorry, Morgan, with Morgan. I need to see Riley be a better player and be allowed to make more offensive moves because he can trust Brody to be consistent. Not hot take, but my opinion.
Yeah.
TJ Brody is the Zach Hyman of our defense. He should be. He is consistent. He is consistent beyond consistent. I think it was.
What's going to make you happy?
It was a fantasy stat, but it was a fantasy stat that I remember here. But Brody had 34 points or 35 points in 6 consecutive seasons, something like that. I'm going to Google it.
My question
Go ahead.
is when we sit down a week from today for episode 2 of the Fancast,
Yes.
my question to you is what will make you happy over the next 7 days from TJ Brody? Where we'll sit down and you'll say, I think it's been a good week for him. What do you have to see to make that happen?
See, here's the thing. I don't know what makes a good camp, right?
Because I
kind of just go off. You have no idea, right?
No, I have an idea.
You have an idea. Okay.
Like,
tell me what you think.
If the next week progresses and we have not heard anything headline worthy from TJ Brody, to me, that's a W. As in, that's a good camp.
I agree. I think in this sense, I think for me, not hearing anything along the lines of Mitch is playing with somebody else, not Mitch, so I keep saying Mitch, Morgan, Mr. Riley. Yep. If I don't see that Morgan Riley is playing with anybody else through camp and that he sticks with TJ Brody, that's enough for me. As long as I know that TJ Brody can keep up with what Morgan Riley needs him to be or where he needs him to be, when he needs him to be there, I am 100% okay with how TJ Brody plays. Yeah, that's enough for me.
That ties into the idea of having a quiet camp. You know?
Yeah.
Like, where I say he should be the Jake Muzzin in the sense we don't talk about him until we miss him. He doesn't do anything wrong ever. He's just there. He's good. He's reliable. That's what we want out of our D. If we get that out of camp with TJ Brody, that's a good camp. Mikko Lehtinen.
I want him to be on the second power play unit.
Yeah.
That's a good
I
camp.
think he will be. I think that is the plan. It'll be Mojo on one and Lehtinen on the other.
Or how about give Riley a little bit more of a breather? I mean, I know now that he doesn't have to. Not that he doesn't have to. He is our number one guy, and he always will be our number one guy. But if this guy can outperform him on power plays alone, if he is a power play specialist, not saying it's even close that he would even come close to Morgan Riley.
Yeah. But
if he can even challenge it, if he can win that second power play unit and even challenge Morgan Riley,
sure,
I'd be okay with it. You know, I'd be pretty happy. I don't honestly, with the forwards that we have, I want to see our stacked first line as it was. You know, I want to see the big five all together on our first power play unit. That's what I want to see.
Okay.
If our second power play unit is a combination of Muzzin for the shot with Lehtinen as the second defenseman and you play two defense on that one, I'm cool with that too.
They're only going to play one D-man on the power play.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily one or the other, right? Muzzin, Brody, Hall, and Pagosian clearly are much better defensively than are defensive players per se, right?
Defensive defenseman.
defensive defensemen, penalty killers that we're gonna want.
Pause real quick.
So
Paul.
that means
I just noticed our viewers are up again. If you're here, we need one more follow to get to 400. Just smash the follow button. Like and subscribe.
Somebody, please.
Sorry, Paul.
So because we have those 4 defensive defensemen and we
Yes.
have Riley on the first power play,
Yes.
the only spot I see Lettinen fitting on this team and not being not necessarily useless, but not being as useful as he could be, is if he doesn't get that second power play unit. If he doesn't, I don't see how he starts on the team, unless he's so good defensively. But I don't know how he plays. He's from the K.
Okay. So
You see what I'm
you just want the guarantee that he's going to be on the power play, because it's true, between the rest of the Brody, Muzzin, Hall, Bogosian, Lettinen, it's got to be Lettinen, unless segue Rasmus Sandin makes a statement. If we look at the top 6, so those guys I just mentioned, Brody, Riley, Muzzin, Hall, Lettinen, Bogosian. Assuming that's our top 6 for D.
Yep.
Travis Dermott's on a 1-year contract. Rasmus Sandin proved that he could play last year. Liljegren was the guy for the Marlies. Callie Rosen
is a god.
I swear. Why do you even mention his name? Anyway. We had a defense that was so in question for all of last season and for a handful of seasons here. Like, how do you even get Travis Dermott into this lineup?
Is Travis Dermott even worth anything anymore? I'm not saying that he's not. Apologies. Let me rephrase that. Is Travis Dermott ever gonna be more than what he is now? Is there even a possibility? Or do we just know Travis Dermott, top 6 guy,
you see
can play power play?
Every time you mention Marty Marincin, I've got a drink.
Okay. You're gonna be plastered, buddy.
It's coffee, Holmes. Oh God, I sounded so tough, didn't I? It's coffee. But Dermott, the thing is, yeah, it's very much a prove it year for Dermott. But is he even going to get the chance? Like, injuries, and you hope it doesn't happen, and you hope kind of the injury luck this year outweighs all the man games lost to injury last year. Yep. So you ideally hope the team is healthy. But okay, assuming Dermott gets into a couple, if it's left side situation, or Sandin will get in on the right side depending on who goes down.
Why is Justin Hall such a lock?
Unless Bogosian has a rough camp.
Why is Hall such a lock? Bogosian as well is
because
not,
Hall and Muzzin played really well together last year. They shut down top competition. They did it well enough.
Is that not just Muzzin being Muzzin, though?
No, Justin Hall gets a lot of credit. He didn't do anything. There was, nothing sexy is going to come off the stick of Justin Hall. But that's what you want. Same deal with Muzzin.
I just want to make sure. Again, some of the Leafs games last year were so unbearable I couldn't stomach watching it. So yeah. I lost the Hall at the end there where I couldn't capture.
Hall's fine. Hall's a lock. You can consider all 6 of those guys. I think unless something crazy happens in camp, those are your guys on the D line.
Yeah, no, for sure. You're right.
So the only thing I can see here that would actually really be important to me is that Sandin, depending on the situation, could be switched out with Bogosian. If you don't need the grit, if you're going up against Vancouver and you're not going to muscle them around the ice because they'll outrun you, and you want to put in Sandin to play instead of Bogosian, I like that. If Lettinen isn't what we think he's going to be, which he may not be, then I can understand you subbing him out for Dermott.
Well, why don't sub out Lettinen for Sandin? Also, I did hear that Sandin's buffed up incredibly.
They want him to focus on that. That's what they've said. If you lose anybody on the right side here, Sandin's got to be the first man up, right? You're not going to put Dermott on his offside, are you?
Babcock would have, because we don't have any right hand shot defenseman.
But he's never done well playing on the right. So I think the only time we're going to see anything from Travis Dermott is if somebody gets lost to injuries.
Yeah,
but
that's fair to say.
I don't think he's waiver exempt either. So he's just going to be hanging out in the press box for most of the season, and that's probably not great either unless they rotate. And maybe it's all about that condensed schedule, rotate players like crazy.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. And honestly, the fact that there seems to be such a solid defensive core or defensive mindset core of our team this year that we don't have Barry here that we don't have who's going to be offensive for what we don't really need. Our offense can drive our offense. Our defense need to take care of work at home.
Our offense can drive our offense.
Yes. We don't need Tyson Barry to carry the puck out of the zone.
That? Nick, can you figure out how to make
clips? Clip it? It's called a clip it.
Well, then Nick's going to learn. That's what producer Nick's here for. Can we clip that? And can we have like a caveman quotes list?
Offense drives offense. Yeah,
offense drives offense.
Listen, how many times did we expect Barry O'Reilly to drive the offense for us? We don't need them to. We pay 4 guys $40 million to do just that.
Yeah.
We need these stay-at-home guys to take care of the puck in their own zone. Right? And honestly, honest to God, if we had Kasperi Kapanen on this team with this defense and we didn't need him to play defense and he could go and just sprint after the puck when one of these guys shut forward down and dumped it out, Kapanen would be playing better for us, at least. In this sense, it doesn't matter because our team looks better without him, but you see what I'm saying.
I followed about half of that. I'm pretty sure you said Kasperi Kapanen was playing defense.
No, I meant if you had.
I just kind of zoned out there, Paul.
If you had Kapanen playing with this defense,
yeah,
right, where he didn't have to worry. So we didn't have to worry about him playing defense that much, where he didn't have to worry about his own zone or zone would be taken care of.
Okay,
and we could get the puck out easier. Kasperi Kapanen with his speed would be a bigger asset than he was last season, where we were stuck in our own end the entire time. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I hear what you're attempting to say. All right.
I got there. Eventually.
We're going to work on brevity with you. I think that's an important thing to focus on and narrow down. All right, let's take a look. How much do we have left? Because we've only got about 10 minutes left in the show. So some quick questions here. Out of camp, does Nick Robertson make the team?
No. I don't see it.
I'm going to have to agree with you.
I don't see him. This team's too tight.
He's going to start the year on the taxi squad.
Yep.
6 players that are going to start the year on the taxi squad. In addition to Nick Robertson, who's 1.
Yeah, we'll do Robertson at 1.
Aaron Dell is going to be on that list as well because they have to have a goalie.
For sure. Yeah, they have to have a goalie.
So
what, 4 more players?
4 more players can make that taxi squad.
Martin Marincin.
Now, wait. 4 more players can make that taxi squad. And then there can also be a couple extra guys on the 23-man roster. So we can basically, out of those 7 forwards that we had, let's say that Simmons, Engvall, Spezza, those 3 guys are your 4th line.
Yeah.
And Barabanov as well.
Yeah.
So one of those guys is going to be an extra on the official roster.
Yeah.
Dermott is probably going to be an extra on the official roster.
Yeah.
And so let's say those 2 guys are there. Fill out that taxi squad with 4 other players.
Well, I think you said it yourself earlier that the taxi squad needs to be, or they have to clear waivers in order
to make it onto the taxi squad.
You're only ever looking at 2-way players. I don't know what,
or waiver exempt like Robertson.
Yes.
So Aaron Dell, Nick Robertson, I can imagine
Joey Anderson, easy.
That Joey Anderson on a 2-way will probably be a taxi squad guy.
Yep. You can probably say Sandin will probably be there. I don't see him being on the 23-man roster.
I don't either, but I don't see him being on the. Okay, let's put Sandin
Well,
on there.
the other option is he plays in the AHL and he doesn't get to come up at all, more or less.
There may be some voodoo with the taxi squad and bouncing guys, but okay, let's say Sandin's a taxi squad guy.
And you got 2 more guys. You're looking at what? At least 1 more defenseman and maybe another forward.
I think you're right about Marty Marincin on the taxi squad. I hope he doesn't get in for an actual game. He makes me cringe really bad.
It would not surprise me if Martin Marincin was on the roster with how bad the Leafs have how bad their decisions have been with him in the past.
Okay,
but
taxi squad.
I say Marincin, taxi squad, and Patan is probably your last forward.
Nick
we already
Patan.
said the forward, Nick Patan. That's it.
Yeah, and they'll come in if they need to, and that means Timothy Liljegren is firmly with the Marlies. It means that Calle Rosen is firmly with the Marlies. It means that everybody that we talked about in terms of those 7 forwards, it means that everybody's here. The only people that don't get through with that setup are Liljegren and Rosen out of everybody that we looked as a bubble player.
Michael Hutchinson.
And Michael Hutchinson. Adam Brooks, I guess, is another wild card, but I don't see him doing anything major in camp. He might.
I don't.
Do you want him over Nick Patan?
Doesn't matter. Are they going to see a game?
Hopefully
if Nick
not,
Patan
but
plays
injuries...
I would be surprised.
Injuries and COVID being what they are.
No, you're right. You're right.
Do you hear that? My printer is like having a seizure.
He just wants to come on the show.
No.
Okay, no problem.
He's just calibrating. He's confused. I apologize for the seizing printer. We will try and rectify that before next week's broadcast. We will also make a habit out of ending these shows with some stories and things from our fantasy league. We filled out 2 hours of content. Pretty good here, Paul, by the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We did a great job.
So we're not going to get to too much fantasy stuff. Most of the fantasy league is in our chat right now. Christian Shemeka is online on Twitch, according to this, but he's just not watching the fan cast. So what the hell, Christian?
I'm gonna say it to him. I'm gonna tell him he's out of the league. That's it.
No, I mean, don't kick him out of the league.
Overall.
If anybody wants to know anything about our fantasy league, Paulie Caveman Cavaretta is our commissioner. I am a 2-time fantasy league champion.
In this league, you're a 1-time champion.
Okay, technically 1, but also the year before it, so
that doesn't count. Those were not real players.
And I would have won. It's actually guaranteed that I would have won if COVID hadn't interrupted our last fantasy season. So
yeah, because you were beating me by 10 points. Absolutely.
I was
well, we're gonna have some fantasy talk as just a little bit. If you guys want to cap it in first overall, Christian in 2019, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it was more in the 5th round, but still kind of early.
Yeah, it was too high.
Yeah, either way. Just in case you guys, we'll keep it Leafs oriented at least for fantasy for today. But Danny, who do you think's gonna have a big fantasy season for the Leafs this year? Who's your pick? Who's your guy?
So Austin Matthews is gonna score all the goals. And like I said, it's going to be a bounce back year for Mitch Marner. So if you drafted Mitch Marner, and even if you reached for him and took him just a little higher than most people would have, pat yourself on the back. He is going to be a fantasy stud.
Also,
stud.
Side note, Joe Thornton is retired in our league before we found out he was on the first line. So unfortunate for everybody that we cannot play.
Would you like to go ahead and remind the audience why Joe Thornton is undraftable, unpickupable on anything in our league?
Someone who will not be named tried drafting him 1st or 3rd overall in our first year. Mm-hmm. And if you remember, he was 38 or 39 at the time.
Yeah, it was like 3 years ago.
And we all had to actually convince him not to take him that early because he would be available later.
And so rather than do the reasonable thing and say, no drafting him in the 1st round, you're just like, nope, we're going to stop this problem by kicking him out of the league. So Joe Thornton, not draftable.
Yeah, there it is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Who is your fantasy anchor this year? Who is like, do you have a guy on your team that your whole season is going to hinge on him?
On my team, no. I think my team's pretty solid. I did play for more next year than I did for this year because we are in the keeper league.
The setup of this league, as an FYI to all y'all, the setup of this league is no bench. You have 9 forwards, 3 at each slot, and 4 defensemen, 1 goalie. Again, no bench.
Yeah.
You get points for like hits, for shots, for pims. So players that are rough around the edges do well.
Yeah.
The highest scoring player in our league last season was David Pasternak.
Yeah.
Just for context, so that you know what we're talking about.
And I'm going to say, Danny, for you, your team probably is going to hinge around Brady Tkachuk playing as well as everybody hopes.
Yeah, because like you get sandpaper points, those hits, those blocks, those hits. Brady Tkachuk could do some damage. I'm excited. I want him to.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel right? Hockey's back! Come on!
This is fun. Well,
this is great.
It's been a blast, Danny, being back with you.
Yeah. Anybody who is viewing right now, we've got to end this show by rating someone. So, like, I don't know. Can I just go... Brad Leafs fan 9 is live. Who's he? I'm going to go peek on this guy because we got to go raid somebody. He is playing some kind of NHL. All right, let's go raid this dude, shall we?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready? How do I raid Brad Leafs fan? Oh, Brad Leafs fan 9. Okay, everybody, get ready to raid. This is how we end the fan cast. For the fans, by the fans. We're not experts. We're just fans. If you haven't hit the follow button, hit it! Maybe we'll convince Brad to do this. It's been a great show. Caveman, you happy to be back?
Always. Always
right.
Glad to be here, Danny. With you.
Let's go raid this dude, shall we? Hockey! All right. I stopped our stream.